Your experience that you had as a person who was, doing their work, raising their children, having your privacy, doing no harm, breaking no rules, had something horrible happen to her. Mm-hmm. And we could bring it back to the food. I could say, what do you eat when a newspaper empire goes for you and tries to destroy you and goes into your phone? Did you feel hungry or did you give up eating? But it is part of our conversation about life and food and fairness. And I wondered if you could say how you felt when you woke up in the morning and knew. Did you have breakfast, or in
moments of real stress, I lose my appetite.
You lose it.
Yeah. It's interesting, and I love to eat more than anything. It's where I get a huge amount of pleasure. But I lose my appetite if I'm under immense stress.
So what was it like?
Well, the paparazzi attention at a very young age was probably the most traumatizing and surreal, because it happened from one day to the next.
How old were you?
I was 21, and I'd fallen in love with my co-star of my first film, and he was very famous, and there were pictures of us. We'd gone to the National Portrait Gallery or something, the Tate Modern, I can't remember. And I remember leaving his house the following day and getting in a black taxi, and the cabbie saying, "Have you seen the News of the World today?" And I was like, "What?" 21. And he said, "Have you seen the News of the World?" And I said, "No." And he said, "You're all over it." And he threw a copy of the newspaper in the back of the cab, and there we were on the front. It was honestly like normal life to absolute surreal, life after that. And I got home to my flat, and there were photographers all outside my flat. And that was it. It was gloves off at that moment in culture where the tabloids had all the power and young women were really persecuted, and men, but it was really crazy. And at first it was kind of funny. I felt like Lara Croft, or in some virtual experience, and my friends, we'd like run away and try and hide, and it was giggly, but it became very quickly very insidious, because it was threatening and aggressive, and it really took over my entire identity. I felt like was being written and read by people, but I felt so out of control in a really formative moment. And this all happened before that film had come out, or any film had come out. I was at the very beginning of my career, and I do look back and wonder how different things would have been if I had been known as an actor first. It was a lot of a battle to kind of establish myself and to be taken seriously and not seen as someone who wore nice clothes or had a famous boyfriend, or it was a battle. And I think I definitely ate through it, I'm sure, that time. But it was, and then of course the phone hacking, I knew that was going on at the time. It was very difficult, because it would be impossible for them to know half of what they knew without some form of eavesdropping. And I think there were bugs put in houses and in cars and trackers on cars and all sorts of, and you feel like you're going mad, but clicks on the line of my mother's landline. So it was relieving in a way to know that I hadn't gone mad when I found out. But to find out was really difficult. I had to take the Met Police to court to get the evidence that they had in order to take the News of the World to court. And they wanted 21 days to hand it over, the evidence that they had. And the judge said, hand it over today. And these 4 huge boxes filled with emails and phone numbers and numbers of my friends. And anyway, in the end, I didn't settle out of court. I took them to court, which meant I got far less money than I would have done had I been quiet. But actually, it's one of the proudest things that I did. And now some of the friends whose numbers they also had have got some money too. So it kind of feels like that's a lovely ending to a saga.
Yeah. And was there comfort you could find in those days in did you cooking or to...
The cooking was always a grounding. I mean, it was a decade really of harassment. But as much as possible, it's okay, because it sucks in retrospect, but it also is a huge part of who I am and why I'm the way that I am, and what matters to me is very clear. And what doesn't matter and what's out of your control is also very clear. And I think I tried to control it for a long time and then gave up. And I now know my friends, my family, the people I love, the restaurants I love, the food I love, the community around me is sacred and respected. And the rest, I don't care. I feel like everyone in the world see my, dirty underwear. It's like there's nothing more I can. Everyone knows everything, whatever. But I know the truth.
Power.
Yeah.
It does give you. Though you're saying it gives you.
I think
if you haven't
so.
been killed, there are people who have been destroyed.
Well, I'm proud that I didn't go that far, but I understand absolutely why you lose your mind. It kind of perpetuates behavior coping mechanisms that are toxic, drinking too much or going out too much or just keeping moving because it's also crazy. And you can see why people unravel. And actually it suits them the more you unravel. They're kind of encouraging you to do that because that sells more papers. So it's wonderful in a way. I'm not a fan of social media, but I respect that women now have an opportunity that their voice is more powerful than anything anyone could write, or they have a means to retaliate. I just got incredibly litigious, and then you'd get an apology that's that big, tiny in a newspaper that no one sees. I mean, it's nice that it's come full circle and we look back on that behavior and can't believe that was allowed. It feels like another person, another world, another life.
Do you remember the people who helped you through this?
Yeah, I've been fortunate. I've never had a friend sell a story in my life. I had a very strong core group of friends from a young age, from 10, from my senior school, one of whom is in this room right now, my best, oldest friend.
Do you want to say, do you remember going through this? Do you remember?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, running away from...
She's 6 foot tall and I'm not. She was my security, but also she was sometimes the decoy. So we'd put like a jacket over her head and she'd run out of the theatre where I was doing a play. Even though I'd suddenly grown 6, however many inches. They didn't really notice. It's such chaos. But
what play were you doing?
My first play was As You Like It at the Wyndhams, But I think, having that stability, my family, my mother, my sister, it kept me anchored in a way where I feel like if I didn't have that, I understand how people derail completely.